In our last tutorial about adding forms to our WordPress website, we went through some very simple features of the Gravity Forms plugin and created a simple form which you can see here. In this tutorial what we're going to do is to add some more complex features to our Gravity form to show you the sort of flexibility you have and the sort of things you can achieve with this form. So what we're going to do now is to go back into our WordPress admin on this tab, and we're going to check out our Gravity forms. We're going to edit our existing forms, and the form we were working with was Contact Us Now, so we're going to click on that, and we have our form layout there as we had it previously. So the first thing we're going to do now is we're going to add an advanced field, and that's going to be a file upload. So from time to time you have people who want to add some files to your website. What we're going to do here, just get this one out of the way, so we're going to delete that paragraph. Okay, so we now have our file here and we're going to set that up. So please upload your... Now this could be an image you want them to upload, it could be a CV, maybe if you're got employment opportunities, it could be any number of things, it could be a Word document. So what happens here is we have some security provided by Gravity Forms, so all you allow people to upload are the sort of file formats that you're going to accept. You don't want them uploading a Trojan or something of that nature, separated with commas. If it's an image you're uploading, a JPEG, a GIF, PNG and even PDF to some extent, I guess, can be forms of images. So we're going to do that. We're going to type in JPEG, GIF, a PNG and a PDF, which of course is more of a document format. So we might have a Word document, so we're going to have a doc and a docx for later versions of Microsoft Word. We could have any number of file formats, and we could in fact keep going along that line and keep adding file formats. But what we're going to do is we're going to close this now, and you have a file upload form. Very, very simple in your form, file upload field on your form. What are some of the other things we can do? If we want people to add a URL, we can click the website one here. The interesting thing about this is that it will reject anything that is not in the website format. So that makes sure that the information that comes up is formatted correctly. A date field, we can enter a date field if we like. We can also enter a date picker, which is a box, and we'll show you that, how it comes up. So you can see how people can enter a date in a very simple and intuitive manner. We'll add a calendar icon to that, and for our date format we'll change that to the sort of ways we like to see it in this part of the world, and we might just move that up a little bit to there. Now what we can also do is, once we start adding additional fields, our form tends to get a little bit difficult to navigate, and what we can do here with our fields here is we can add a section break. So we're going to add a section break, and we'll show you what that does. If we move that up, what we can do is this will put a header in here, and we can define what that header says. So what that's done is basically allows the form to be sectioned up into areas. You might have some particular areas up front where it's just their personal details, or down the bottom you might have some areas where you want them to upload some files or whatever. You can add that section break to there. Now you can add things like drop-down lists if we wanted to add a drop-down list. Here we could add our and we're not going to add all of these because I'll be here typing for a while. So we'll just add a few. You get the point as we add it. Now what we can also do, and this is quite interesting, is we can also add some HTML if we want. So we can open this field up and we can add some HTML in here. What I'm going to do is something very, very similar here, very simple here I should say. I'm going to add a little bit of HTML, which of course in this situation is pretty useless. However, it just sort of shows you what you can do. Now let's go and update the form. The form goes straight, when we update it, goes straight to the database, and let's have a look at what we've done. We just refresh this page just so you can see the changes. There we have our date of birth field there, and you see how easy that is for people to use. There's our section break with more personal details. There's our multiple choice that we can pick our state of residence, and there's our link that if we fill it out, pretty pointless really that we would fill it out, but if we do fill it out, will take us to the home page or anywhere else. Now, one more thing, we could go through all of the fields here, but we're not going to do that. You can play with those yourself. But one more thing that really is quite useful, and we've used it a certain number of times, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a conditional. So what we're going to do is we're going to just add a paragraph text here, and you're just going to move it up here, and what we're going to do is just quickly edit that. Conditional means that if someone takes a particular action, we're going to do another action. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into advanced, enable conditional logic. So we're going to show this field if all of the following match. So if your state of residence is Queensland, we're going to show this field. So let's update our form. Once again, pretty crazy example, but you'll get what I mean by just seeing it. So let's refresh that again. Let's move down the form. So notice that this field is displayed if your state of residence is Queensland. If it's Western Australia, notice then that it isn't displayed. So if it's Queensland, it's displayed, and if it's New South Wales, it isn't displayed. So that's quite useful if you have a very long form and you only want to display parts of the form. If people need to see those parts in our own web development forms, if someone wants to host with us, then we will display a particular part of the form for them to complete. However, if they have their own hosting, then we'll display another part of the form for them to complete, providing the details we need. So that makes it for a very, very flexible form. You see, with Gravity Forms you can do an awful lot of things, and it's just a matter of playing around to see how you can use those forms to achieve what you need to achieve.